All right, I was sick of my nails always looking so jank, and I just do not have the time to go to the nail salon every couple of weeks, nor do I frankly want to spend that money. And nail polish chips on me in like a day, sometimes an hour, sometimes a couple hours. I do like those impressions, like sticker nails. I'll probably go back to those at some point. But anyways, I decided to give Glamnetic nails a try for the first time. I don't know how I feel. I put them on Sunday night and it's Wednesday now, and they're still going strong. I think I could have gone smaller on a couple of these, like the middle nail looks a little big. Like I could have just done a smaller size on a couple of them, but I don't think they look bad. And from far away, I don't think they look bad. So I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. Trying to be more girly. Anyways, we are back with another declutter. This time I'm doing bronzers, blush, highlights, and face palettes. Because again, your girl has too much. So let's go ahead and get started with bronzers. First up, this Gucci bronzer right here. I have it in the shade 01. I really love this bronzer. This is a great tone, beautiful, not too patchy, not too heavy. It builds up. It's not too pigmented right off the bat. And I really, really enjoy this bronzer. Plus, it's Gucci, and it was very expensive. So I'm definitely going to keep this. Another really expensive one that I'm going to keep is this one right here from Dior, their Forever Bronzer. I have the shade 04 Tan Bronze, the lightest one it comes in. If you can tell, it's getting hard pan, and it's pretty much gone hard pan since I purchased it, like the first time I used it. So that was a bummer. I actually don't love this as much as I thought I was going to, but I am going to keep it around a little bit longer. One I'm going to go ahead and declutter is this one right here from Ofra. This was their duo, their bronzer duo in River with Samantha March. I actually really like this bronzer duo. I think it's a beautiful formulation. I like that it's matte and then shimmer on one side. I usually just swirled them together and got like a glowy sort of bronzer. However, this is just too deep on me. That's really the only reason I'm decluttering it. It just looks a little muddy and can just be a little too much for my fair skin. Another one I'm going to keep right here is from ColourPop. This is their Avila Beach Matte Bronzer. They sent me a bunch of bronzers and highlighters and blushes. Not to sound braggy, I'm not trying to sound braggy, but they sent me some highlighters, bronzers, and blushes a couple months ago at this point, and I just had never tried any of them. You'll see a bunch of the blushes coming up in the blush part of this declutter, and they sat there for a really long time, and I didn't try them because I didn't know what I wanted to do with them, because I just didn't need them, you know what I mean? I'm grateful that I got them in PR, but I never want to just use something to use something. I want to make sure I'm actually going to get use out of it. So regardless of that, I ended up decluttering a lot of them. I think they sent me like 4 or 5 bronzers, and this is the only one that I kept. Anyways, that was a long tangent to say I am going to keep this. I actually really like this. I don't know if it's coming across as well on camera as it is in person, but this is a very cool toned, very, very light bronzer. So that was a very long-winded discussion of saying that I'm keeping this ColourPop bronzer. Sorry guys, I'm in a talking mood, so we'll see how long this video is today. Hello. Okay, one that I really just don't get the hype on, but I'm gonna keep is the one from, oh, this is all powdery, is the Skin Fetish Divine Bronzer in Naked Desire from Pat McGrath. I don't dislike this bronzer. I just don't think it lived up to my expectations of a Pat McGrath bronzer, you know what I mean? However, when I use it, it's nice, it's pretty. I just don't really ever think to use it, but I am gonna keep it. I'm also gonna keep the L'Oreal Infallible 24-hour bronzer. In this, I have the shade 200 Fair. This is the lightest one it comes in. I love this bronzer, especially in the summertime when I'm a little bit on the tanner side. This paired over the NARS bronzer that you'll see later in here that I love so much is like a match made in heaven when I have a little bit of a tan going on. So love this, definitely keeping this. Another keep is the Maybelline City bronzer. In this one, I have the shade 100, just the lightest one. I love this bronzer. Sorry, I feel like I'm a broken record right now. But this is so stinking good. This is the second one, maybe the third one I've gone through. And as you can see, I hit pan and I'm going to use it up. This is foolproof. If you are on the lighter side like me and you need a bronzer that's just a beautiful tone and foolproof, you can add a pound of this bronzer. It will never look muddy. It is lovely. I've recommended this to a lot of my friends as well, and they seem to like it too. Okay, I'm not really doing that great on decluttering. Not gonna lie. But this one right here from Flower Beauty, their Heat Wave Luminous Bronzer. This is in the shade Sunrise L1. I really like this bronzer as well. I'm going to keep it. It looks very, very cool toned in the pan. However, as soon as you start to like use it, it does warm up a little bit. I know that's kind of weird. Let's see if I can focus. There we go. I know it's kind of weird, but if you can tell, it does give a beautiful luminosity and sheen on your skin. So it doesn't look as gray toned on your face as it maybe does in the pan. All right, now we have this one from e.l.f. This is their like Forever Sun-Kissed bronzer. I'm going to declutter this. It's a good bronzer. I like it. However, if I want to use a more drugstore related bronzer for, let's say, like an all drugstore sort of video, as you just saw, I had quite a few drugstore bronzers that I really do love. Had your eye on it or just needed a cheap, good bronzer, I recommend this, but I just don't think I'm going to use it as much as someone else would. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter this. This one right here from AOA Studios, the Perfect Bronzer. Oh, Frappe is the shade. What do I want to do with this? Honestly, it's very similar to the e.l.f. one. Like almost identical tones. Wow. I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one as well. I really do need to be more cutthroat, like I said at the beginning of the video, and I just am not reaching for this one. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and declutter this, give it to a better home. Again though, if you are on the AOA Studio website, the Shop Miss A website, and you're looking for a really cheap bronzer, because this is like $1, dude, it's really cheap. I recommend. I'm just not using it. And then this Hailey's Beauty bronzer, the Resculpt Smoothing Contour Powder in the shade Light. This was sent to me in PR. I think I'm going to keep this because it is such a cool tone bronzer. I feel like bronzers tend to go very warm on me, and I prefer a more neutrally / cool tone bronzer, and this definitely has that undertone, so I am going to keep this. All right, moving on to the big box right here. The first one, this one right here from Jouer. This is their bronzing duo in light to medium. If you remember a while ago, this was in my project pan, and I was trying so hard to use it up, and as you can see, I did a really good job. I used the heck out of this bronzer duo. So for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and call this an empty. It's really hard to get bronzer on my brush because the pans are so large. Like, yes, there is still some bronzer left, but I am not one to like break this up and repress it to use it up. I just am not going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and call this an empty and throw it away and be proud that I finished up a bronzer. Another one I'm going to go ahead and declutter is this one right here from Catrice, their Sun Lover Bronzing Glow in Sun-Kissed Bronze. So honestly, this looks beautiful. And honestly, it reminds me a lot of the Flower Beauty one that I kept a while ago, but this is just a way better formula. This, on me personally, is way too warm, like way too warm. And also, there's glitter in it. I don't think you can tell from just staring at it and just looking at it. Maybe in the swatch you can see. No. Okay, well, when I put this on my face, literally, there's glitter. And again, it's just too warm, and yeah, I'm just not using it, so it's going to go to a better home. Okay, one you would have to absolutely pry out of my hands is the Patrick Ta Cream Contour and Bronzing Powder Duo in the shade She's Statuesque. This is the lightest one it comes in, and if you know anything about Patrick Ta, there's a cream on top and a powder on the bottom. I have been using this nonstop. I haven't reached for any other bronzer in so long, even my NARS one, and I love that NARS one. But this is such a good tone for me right now when I'm fair. This cool tone cream really does give me a chiseled sort of look. It makes my cheekbones look a little sharper and my double chin look a little minimized. And then I just put this powder on top, and it's just so stinking good. It's so good. The Sephora sale is coming up, and I'm going to put this in my recommendations video, even though it's not a new product at all, because I've been using it that much. If you have not tried it, I swear, you guys, I swear. This one and the NARS one, top two. So I might as well grab the NARS one while we're talking about it. This is their Laguna Bronzing Cream in Laguna 01. If you've watched my channel for any length of time, then you know how I feel about this cream bronzer. I'm not going to harp on it. Best cream bronzer ever, other than the Patrick Ta. Honestly, I think I like this cream bronzer more than the Patrick Ta cream bronzer. It's just that shade is so perfect for me right now. This in the summertime, as you can see, I've used the heck out of it. I'm going to use it up. I'm going to rebuy it. It's the best cream bronzer ever, ever, ever. I love it. All right, and then we have this one right here from Tarte. This is their Breezy Cream Bronzer in the shade Seychelles. I'm going to go ahead and declutter this. This is just a little bit too warm on me and a little bit too deep. It's a nice cream bronzer, but it is a little bit more on the drier side, which that could be a pro to some of you guys, that you don't need to set it or anything, and it really does last throughout the day. But for me, it's more of a tone thing and a color thing, and it's just a little bit too warm and dark on me. So I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this one. We have both the Fenty Beauty bronzers right here. I have the cream one and then the powder one. The cream is in Butter Biscuit and the powder is into Sun. I think this is the lightest powder and then the second lightest cream. I really, really like this powder bronzer. Part of me wants to kind of declutter it only because it's so empty. Like the pan is so large, and kind of like the Jouer one, it's hard to get my brush in and really get any bronzer, but I am going to go ahead and keep this for a little bit longer and try to use it more because it is a beautiful tone and a beautiful bronzer. And I feel like whenever it's too low that I can't use it, I will rebuy it. And then the cream one is really nice as well. Not my favorite cream bronzer, but it's up there. I feel like this would definitely be in the top 3 with the Patrick Ta and the NARS. It's a beautiful color. It blends in nicely. It doesn't get like patchy or weird or cakey. Well, I guess it's a cream, so it wouldn't get cakey, but like muddy, you know? Beautiful. I really like this. Kind of gross and dirty, but you can tell that it's well loved. So I had 2 of these and I did already declutter one of them, but this one is the shade 01 Light. This is the Glowish, what is this exactly called? Soft Radiance Bronzing Powder. I thought I was going to keep this, but I actually think I am going to go ahead and declutter it. I never reach for it. If you can see, it is kind of getting a little bit of hard pan. And it's one of those that you just have to build and build and build, which could be a good thing. I find myself building it too much, if that makes sense. Like it's just kind of annoying. So I thought I was going to keep this, but I think I am going to go ahead and declutter this. Alrighty, then we have this duo right here from Charlotte Tilbury, her Film Star Bronze and Glow Duo in the mini size. I love this. I'm definitely keeping. I love both sides, the bronzer and the highlight. The bronzer is nice and cool tone, very buildable, and just lovely on the skin. This probably should have been in the face palette section of this video that's coming later, but that's okay. Either way, I'm keeping this. Love it. Another one from Charlotte Tilbury is her contour one. I have the lightest shade. Actually, I think this only comes in one shade, which is ridiculous. I'm keeping this, but I really am not obsessed with this like everyone else is. I just don't think it blends out that great. It gets a little patchy on me, but I also haven't tried it in a while, so I do need to try it again. So I am going to keep that one. Then we have these ones right here from e.l.f., the putty bronzers. This actually, it's so funny. The video that I reviewed this, I think it's my most watched video ever, which is so crazy. So part of me wants to keep them just from like the nostalgia of that. I have the shades Feeling Shady as well as Tan Lines. I don't know what I want to do with these. I really do not reach for them very much. As you can tell by the pan, they're just like not very well used. Okay, I went ahead and just swatched them on my fingers. I wiped them off, I'm sorry. And they seem very low pigmented, which I feel like is going to be a good thing for me. That's kind of what I'm going for more these days. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the Feelin' Shady, the really cool tone shade, and keep the Tan Lines. Another one I'm going to go ahead and declutter is this one right here from Cloven Hollow. I got this sent to me in PR a really long time ago. I'm actually unfortunately going to have to throw this one away. I just think it's expired. It's like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 years ago at this point. And as you can tell, there's like some interesting bumps on it. I don't know, I just don't feel safe putting it on my face anymore. Then we have this one right here from Charlotte Tilbury, her Airbrush Flawless Bronzer in the shade 2 Medium. I really love this bronzer, and as you can tell, there's a huge pan in it. I actually think that I don't need to, but I want to kind of buy the first shade. I never did because I thought it was going to be way too light on me, and when I bought this a couple years ago and used the heck out of it and made pan in it, that was the type of bronzer I was looking for, like a little bit more richer on my cheeks and, you know, a little bit more wham bam punchy. And like now, like I said 1,000 times, that's not the kind of look I'm going for. I am going to keep this just in case I like get tan and stuff, and it is a beautiful formulation, but part of me wants to buy the first shade. If you have the first shade and you are around my skin tone, let me know what you think of it, because I don't need it and it's expensive, but I kind of want to buy it. I'm going to keep this one right here from Ilia as well. They're Drawn In Nightlight Bronzing Powder. This is one that I have to be careful with. It is a little bit deeper and a little stronger on my cheeks, but it's a really great formula and I really do enjoy it. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this. I'm also going to keep the L'Oreal True Match Lumi Bronze It. I have the shade 01 Light. I went through a whole one of this and rebought it. That's how much I love it. It's super glowy on the skin. It gives your cheeks life. It makes it like not matte and flat and dull. It's a great cool toned shade for my fair skin. Definitely not getting rid of my Marc Jacobs Tantastic bronzer. They don't make this anymore. I don't know what's going on with Marc Jacobs. I want to say they're bringing their makeup line back. I could be wrong about that. But this is a great bronzer. I love it. And also it's not available anymore. So I want to keep this. One I don't love, but I think I am going to keep is from Charlotte Tilbury, her Beautiful Skin Sun Kissed Glow Bronzer in the shade Fair. Shoot, can I open it? These nails make it hard to open things. There we go. You know what? I'm going to declutter this. I am. I used it a while ago to remind myself about it because I hadn't used it in a while and I remember not loving it. And when I used it, I didn't love it. It's just like a really interesting putty, moussey sort of texture. It looks muddy on my cheeks. It doesn't really blend in that great because it is so dry. It stays well, which is nice. I must see if a friend wants this though. Instead of donating it because it is a more cream and it's just better to like give it to someone personally, you know, but I think one of my friends would enjoy this. Then we have the Bare Minerals Faux Tan Loose Bronzer. I never reach for this. But I still want to keep it. Yeah, I'm still going to keep it. When I do reach for it, I think it's really pretty. It's just kind of a little harder to apply, but that's okay. I'm going to give it another go, so I'm going to keep this. I also think I'm going to keep the Uoma Double Take Sculpt and Strobe Stick. So this has a contour on one side. Not my favorite cream bronzer ever, but I do want to give it another go. And then it just has a really pretty highlight on the other side. This is actually a little bit too deep for me, but I don't know. A part of me just wants to keep this for some reason and give it a go again. I haven't used it in a while. I'm going to go ahead and declutter the Milk Makeup Baked Bronzer. This I'm going to throw away, sadly. It's just very, very old. If you can tell, it was used and abused when I did use it. I used to really love this, but when I used it a while ago, this was a while ago at this point, it just was a little too dark and muddy on me, and at this point, it's definitely old, definitely expired, so I'm going to go ahead and declutter this and throw it away, sadly. I'm also going to declutter the KVD Liquid Bronzer, the like Mod Con bronzer in the shade Fair Cool 90. This ends up being very, very orange on me, which is so weird because it's supposed to be a cool tone sort of liquid bronzer, but it doesn't end up being cool tone on me. It turns very warm, and I remember like just not liking this, like it being patchy, barely showing up, and then when I got it to show up, I just didn't love it. I think I remember people liking this when it first came out, but I just don't. So I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this. I'm gonna keep the Half Caked Morning View bronzer. This is a little bit deeper on me, and if you can tell from like looking at it in the pan, it's very emollient, but I don't know. There's something about Half Cake that I really like, and I want to keep this. And then I'm gonna go ahead and keep the Cover FX bronzer drops. They look disgusting right now, so let me shake them up. This is in the shade Sunkissed. I don't know if they make this anymore, to be honest. And I really don't reach for these very often, but when I do, they're a really, really pretty bronzer, so I do want to keep this. And then I'm going to go ahead and declutter the M Cosmetics bronzer stick in the shade Summer. I just don't love this. I don't love the tone on me. I think it's a little too dark. I think it's a little too dark and deep, and it ends up being like drier, hard to blend out, kind of like the Charlotte Tilbury one that I just decluttered as well. So yeah, sadly, I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one too. Alrighty, so I'm keeping 23 bronzers and I'm getting rid of 13. I feel good about that. So let's move on to blushes. Okay, blush is probably going to be a pretty significant part of this video because as you can see, I have so much blush. It's probably my favorite part of makeup application, question mark, other than eyeshadow. I think it's definitely my favorite. I just love blush, as you can tell. So I'm going to try to speed through these. I'm going to start off with the Buxom Wanderlust Primer Infused Blush in the shade Seychelles. Love this. It's such a good everyday tone. It goes with lots of different makeup looks, and it's very like glowy, not glittery or anything. Just gives life to your cheek. Love it. Definitely keeping this. Then I have two Hourglass blushes, a mini and a full size in Diffuse Tea and Mood Exposure. I'm keeping both of these. I think that these blushes are very, very beautiful. I love the tones on my cheeks. I love just how ethereal they look. Hourglass is expensive, but worth it in my opinion. So keeping both of those. Then we have this right here from Odin's Eye. This is their Soul Mane blush in the shade Sunset Clouds. Man, did I used to be obsessed with this blush. Like so much so you can see the embossing is pretty much gone. I forgot about it. In my blush drawer full of all these blushes. And I recently rediscovered it and was like, oh my gosh, this blush is stunning. That was like one of the things that prompted this declutter, because I was like, if I'm forgetting about some of my favorite products, then that clearly means I have too much, you know what I mean? So, love this blush, definitely keeping such a beautiful pinky tone in this packaging. Oh, 10 out of 10. I'll just go ahead and get this little container done. I'm also keeping the L'Oreal Infallible blush in the shade Confident Pink. This is super pigmented. I have to be very careful when I apply it, but this in the summer is such a beautiful, juicy, bright pink, watermelony sort of like you were in the sun. Are you a little burnt, but not just a gorgeous shade? Love this, definitely keeping. One I'm going to go ahead and declutter is this one right here from Grande Cosmetics. This is their Grande Pop Plumping Liquid Blush in Sweet Peach. I don't know if they make these anymore, but this is very, very old, very old. And typically I don't go by the expiration date or whatever on products because like normally they last longer than those. But with this being a liquid product and it being like years and years old at this point, I am going to go ahead and get rid of this and probably throw it away, sadly. I liked it when I used it though. So if they're still available and you wanted to try it, it does give your cheeks like a plumping minty feel. It's very odd, but I like it. I like it, and it's a beautiful shade. One I'm going to keep also is from Lancome. This is their Blush Subtil in the shade Sheer Emeraude. I know they still have this line of blushes, but I'm not sure about this shade. It's the most beautiful everyday pink shade for me. You would have to pry this out of my hands. One of my favorite blushes, definitely keeping. Let's go ahead and just tackle these Cover FX blushes right here. I used to be obsessed with these, you guys. I think I'm going to get rid of all three of them. So these are their duos that have like a matte shade and a shimmer shade. Oh gosh, that's pretty though. We have Pink Dahlia, and then we also have Soft Peach, and last but not least we have Mojave Mauve. All right, I was totally planning on getting rid of all three of these, but now I'm looking at them. This is why, you guys, I look at them and it makes me second guess getting rid of them, because I've thought about it before in the past and just I can never bite the bullet and actually do it. They're just so dang pretty. Oh, okay, I just swatched all of them. So we have Mojave Mauve, Pink Dahlia, and Soft Peach. Man, they're pretty. Okay, I think I'm going to keep Mojave Mauve and Pink Dahlia, and I'm going to declutter Soft Peach. I got to get rid of one of them. I cannot keep all three. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I honestly, like I said, was picturing getting rid of all three of them because I just don't reach for them. That's why. They're beautiful blushes. They're pigmented. They're lovely. I love the matte and the shimmer. You can leave it all matte, leave it all shimmer. I usually just combine them, to be honest. And they are beautiful blushes, like truly. But I never reach for them. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and keep these two. Get rid of this one, I think. I'll let you know if I change my mind. Then we have this little one from Bare Minerals, their Gen Nude blush in the shade Call My Blush. I'm pretty sure this was like a free gift with purchase, one of like a Sephora points sort of thing. It's a really pretty blush. It's just, I kind of have a bunch of pink blushes, so I am going to go ahead and pass this along. But I do enjoy the shade and the formulation if you had your eye on these blushes. But if you had your eye on some Bare Mineral blushes, I would go with the bronzers instead. Personally, I just think they are a little bit better in my opinion. We have Kiss of Pink. I'm 100% keeping Kiss of Pink. I think it's absolutely stunning and beautiful. As you can tell, it's very well loved. It's one of my favorite blushes ever. But I also have Kiss of Rose and Kiss of Copper. I don't think I'm going to keep both of these. I don't reach for them a ton, and they're a little bit on the deeper side. So I think I'm going to go ahead and keep Kiss of Copper, and I'm going to get rid of Kiss of Rose only because it is a little bit deeper and it's harder for me to use this kind of blush with my fair complexion. And then I'm also going to keep their highlighting blush. I keep it in my blush drawer. I know it's like a combination product in Mauve Glow. This is a really pretty blush topper. I don't use it by itself, but as a blush topper, it's stunning, so I'm going to keep this. Then we have these two from AOA Studio. They're Perfect Blush in the shades Frenzy and Mod. I think I'm actually going to keep both of these. This is a beautiful, bright strawberry sort of shade that's really nice in the summertime. And this Mod shade is a really just nice, cool tony, pinky sort of shade. I actually get quite a bit of use out of this one. So actually, you know what? Hold on. I'm trying to be very mindful and not keep things that I don't need to keep. Okay, so these are very, very similar. Yes, they're not exactly the same, but if I want a sort of hot pinky blush, I'm going to reach for the L'Oreal one. So I'm actually going to go ahead and give this one away so it gets a better home and gets more use. Be practical, Emily. Be smart. Think things through. Don't just keep everything. Okay, then we have 3 of these Laura Mercier moisturizer blushes. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this larger one. This is in the shade French Riviera. It's just, as you can see, way too deep and dark on me. The one time I tried it, it just was really patchy because it's just not a shade that's right for my complexion. But these two mini ones I'm definitely going to be keeping. We have Provence and Southbound. Provence is definitely my favorite. It's just a beautiful everyday blush that goes with absolutely everything. But this is a really nice peachy pinky one as well. So I just needed to find a shade that was good for my skin tone, because I tried the other one first and absolutely hated these blushes because it was just too dark and patchy on me. Well, because it's not right for my skin tone, you know what I mean? So these two, stunning and beautiful. I'm going to keep them. Another one I'm going to part with is this one right here from Catrice, their Cheek Lover blush. I went ahead and got rid of their bronzer, and I'm going to also get rid of their blush. I guess Biba is the shade. Oh, no. Sorry, Blooming Hibiscus. It's just way too shimmery on my cheeks. It emphasizes pores and texture and all the things I just really don't want to emphasize. It's a pretty shade, but as you can see, just from me moving it around, it's just way too sheeny for my personal opinion. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. Then we have this one right here from Natasha Denona, her Mini Dream Blush. I'm going to keep this. It's brand new to me. It's not like my favorite blush shade ever, and the highlight is a little sparkly for me. It's like not my favorite product in the whole entire world, but I do like it when I wear it. I think it's pretty. I will get use out of it, and because it is so new to me, I'm not ready to part with it, you know what I mean? Then we have a bunch of Patrick Ta blushes. This is his just like original blush, and She's Passionate. It's not one of the duos. This is a really stunning blush shade. When I first got it in PR, I didn't know how much I would get use out of it because I love his duo so much. I didn't think I would want this just like one pan all powder blush. This is absolutely stunning though. You'd have to pry this out of my hands. It's beautiful. Definitely going to keep this. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, I'm going to be keeping all three of these. I love these duos so much. So the first one I have is She's So LA. It's just a really beautiful, bronzy, warm sort of tone that's perfect for warm makeup looks. I also have She's That Girl. Definitely don't reach for this one as much just because it's a little brighter of a pink, but I need to branch out and use bright pinks like this. I think that they are flattering on me when I'm brave enough to use them, and I'm like, Emily, you love blush, just suck it up and use a bright pink, you know what I mean? But I definitely reach for this one the least, but it is still a stunning shade. And then lastly, I have She's Blushing. This is just a nice blushy sort of tone. Alrighty, then we have the Nude Sticks Nudies All Over face color in the shade Bareback. This is a beautiful, just everyday sort of blush shade, and I really like the cream formulation. You can use it over powder, under powder, doesn't matter. This is really stunning, so definitely going to be keeping this. Also going to be keeping the new Givenchy blush that I recently got in the Sephora, I guess not that recent, in the last Sephora sale, the Prism Libre blush in Organza Sienna. It's just a loose blush that has 4 different chambers that come together to make one beautiful blush. So this is just really like glowy on the cheek. I like the warm shade of it. A little messy, and all of it, the cap never like goes on correct. There we go. A little messy, but pretty and expensive, so I'm gonna keep it. This one I've been holding on to for a while. This is from MCO Beauty, I guess. I got this in an Ipsy bag a while ago at this point in the shade Bronze, and I kept it because it's a really pretty shade, and I always thought I would want to try it, and then I never tried it. So before it's expired and can't be used at all, I'm gonna go ahead and finally declutter it. This has survived quite a few declutters, and it needs to just go to a better home now. Okay, so these are all the powder blushes. Actually, I don't even think these are all of them. These are quite a few of the powder blushes that ColourPop sent me in PR a while back. This one I'm definitely going to give away. This is in the shade Flamingo. It's a really pretty bright pink shade, but I just can't see myself using the shade very often, so I am going to go ahead and declutter this one. And then I have all of these. I have all of these, you guys, and I really tried to pick the ones that I maybe thought were a little bit more unique in my collection, or ones that I really thought I would use. And this is how far I pared it down from all the ones they sent me. And I think they sent me, like, obviously that one I just decluttered and a couple more that were just too deep for my skin tone that wouldn't look right on me. The only one of this stack that I think I've actually used so far is this one, To The 10. It's a really beautiful, just pink shade. There's really nothing else about it. So I am going to keep this one because it's one I've used. But then I have all these other ones that I haven't used. So this one is Shortbread, just a really pretty warm tone sort of shade. Then sorry, there's going to be a lot of banging around. We also have Papaya. I thought this would be so beautiful in the spring and summertime, just like bright and just beautiful. Then we also have Out and About, another just nice neutral shade that could go with a lot of different makeup looks. Then we have this bright pink one called, Flamingo. Oh, that's why. That's why I was going to get rid of this one because, sorry, I knocked the camera, because they sent it to me twice. Yeah, they sent it to me twice for some reason. So I have 2 flamingos. So I guess I am going to keep this flamingo. So disregard everything bad I just said about this one, because there's this one as well. And then we also have swirled. So I actually have swirled already in this one. So you would think, Emily, why don't you get rid of this swirled if you have this swirled? But look, they are not the same blush. They're not the same blush at all. So I'm not sure why. Swirled and swirled. So this one was a long time ago, not a long time ago. This was like maybe a year or 2 ago. And then this is the newest one. And I've used this one a ton of times and I actually really love it. So maybe I should just pass this one along, because even though they're not the same, they're pretty similar. So yeah, I'm going to keep this swirl that's older and used and go ahead and pass this one along. And then I think I'm going to keep all 4 of those. I also have this ColourPop blush that I went ahead and bought a long time ago. It's called Night Bloom. It's a really beautiful purpley cool tone blush. I really don't reach for this very often at all anymore. I used to use it all the time when I would do super cool tone looks. I'm not really doing those anymore, but it's such a unique shade that I am going to go ahead and keep it. Yes, I'm going to keep that. Clearly, I like ColourPop blushes, but also I've been lucky enough to be put on their PR list recently, so that's why I have quite a few. These I am going to go ahead and get rid of, though. I'm going to pass these along. They're Cheek Dew blushes in Fairy Kingdom, Peas Blossom, I guess, and Natural World. I tried these once. I think I tried this one, or maybe I tried the purpley one. I tried one of them once and just didn't love the formulation. It's a little on the sheer side. And I like to put down cream blush first and then set it with a powder and then possibly a powder blush on top. So this just doesn't work well for that. And I think that they would get, you know, better use in another home. I actually want to get rid of all 3 of these as well. They're really pretty shades and they're in this super cute, so what's this? Hot to Touch. They're in this super cute heart packaging, but I just don't reach for these. And when I do, we also have Cupid's Bow, which is a really pretty, like, light lilac-y purpley shade. And then lastly, we have Sweetheart, which is probably the most wearable of the 3. It's just like a nice pinky tone. However, when I've worn them, they've gotten kind of patchy on me. And none of the other ColourPop blushes that I've ever used before have really done that powder-wise. So I don't know what's going on with, like, this formulation in the blush packaging, but they're so stinking cute, but I just don't reach for them. And when I do, I don't love it. The colors are beautiful, though, so I am going to pass these along. All right, then we have quite a few Pat McGrath blushes. The first one is Electric Bloom. Let me double check out with this one right here. Yeah, see, these are so similar. Okay, so this one was Papaya. Yeah, if I'm gonna reach for a super bright blush like this, I'm gonna reach for the Pat McGrath one. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and declutter this Papaya one as well, but I'm gonna keep this Electric Bloom one from Pat McGrath. And then we also have Nymphette. This is just a really pretty everyday pink. Is this the one that has the gold shimmer? I don't know if it is. I'm going to keep this one. I'm going to keep all of them, guys. And then we have Flirtatious. This is like my favorite one ever. It's just the most beautiful everyday neutrally blush. And then last but not least, we have Cherish, which that is just a really pretty pinky shade. And we have 5 M Cosmetic blushes. This one right here in Baroque. This is her Heaven's Glow blush. I really love the formulation of these. We also have Faded Clementine, absolutely stunning orangey blush. Magic Hour is a really pretty pinky tone. Then we have Venetian Rose, which rosy shades can sometimes freak me out because they're like too dark, but this one's like perfect. And then we also have Rococo. I actually think I'm going to get rid of this one. It's just a little deep and dark, and honestly, Rococo and Baroque are, oh, sorry, that was not in frame, are pretty similar. I bought them together during one of her like launches a while ago, and they're pretty similar. I don't think I needed both, so I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this one, but I'm keeping the rest, guys, because I love this formulation and they're stunning blushes. I'm also going to keep this one right here from Essence, their Pure Nude Baked Blush in Cool Coral. This gives the most beautiful just sheen and shine. How do I explain it? It's not sparkly at all. It just gives a really healthy flush and glow. Sorry, I'm not in focus. Sometimes I like look around the room to like come up with words and come up with the descriptions of things without repeating myself. And then I like look around the room and there was a car driving by, so I was watching it and that's why I wasn't in frame. But anyways, then we have 4 of these Essence, like 4 more Essence blushes in The Blush. We have Believing, Befitting, what is this one right here? Bespoke and Beloved. Okay, I don't need to keep all of these, so let me think about it for a sec. Okay, this one right here in Believing is just a little bit too deep for me, so I actually am gonna go ahead, pass this one along. I'm also going to pass along this one in Bespoke because it's really similar to this e.l.f. blush right here, which is in the shade Always Hazy. And I just really love this e.l.f. one. I want to keep the e.l.f. one over the Essence one, if that makes sense. I don't know if they're looking that similar on camera, but in person they are actually very, very similar, and I love this one. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this blush along, this Bespoke one. Going to keep this e.l.f. one like I said, and then I'm going to go ahead, I guess, and keep these other two as well in Befitting and Beloved. They're just really pretty shades. You can't even tell. I'm sorry, guys. I feel like I'm being a hot mess right now. Ivy woke up from her nap, so I'm like trying to rush to finish this before I have to go get her, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do it, but that's okay. Anyways, these are just really pretty shades. As you can tell, this embossing's gone. It's just one I use a lot, and this one's just a really nice pinky shade. So these are great. They're only a couple of dollars if you need a drugstore affordable blush. These are a good option. Back to e.l.f., we also have this one right here in Always Cheeky. This was in my project pan forever ago. This is a deep pan, you guys. I use the heck out of this blush, and it is just, I mean, yes, there's a huge pan in it, but it's going to take a lot to finish it up. So it's not really, I'm not trying to finish it up anymore, but I really like this shade. It's one that you can put a ton of blush on and never have to worry about it looking too much, too overdone, too intense. So yeah, this is a really great blush. I'm going to keep it. Alrighty, rearranged a couple things. Then I have a couple here from MAC. This is in the shade Stay Pretty. These are just their classic powder blushes. I don't think that they even make this shade anymore. This is so old. Probably like maybe 8 years, maybe even longer. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one and get rid of it. I think I'm also going to declutter Peaches. This is a really pretty shade, but I don't wear these tones very often, and I kept a lot of ones that are similar to this. This is new enough that I can still declutter it and like give it, like donate it or give it to a friend. But this one I'm going to go ahead and keep. Their Glow Play blush in the shade So Natural. This is such a unique putty sort of formula that you can put over powder, but it gives your cheeks a glow, and it's just very unique and stunning. So I'm going to definitely keep this. We have this one right here from Charlotte Tilbury. This might shock some of you guys, but I'm going to go ahead and declutter this. This is their Cheek to Chic and Walk of No Shame. I was sent this by a friend, I think, that it was too deep and dark for them, and they thought maybe I could get use out of it, but it's also too deep and dark for me. I like the formulation. I want to get a shade that works well for me. I love Charlotte Tilbury in general. So I eventually want to purchase one that actually matches my skin tone, but this is too dark, so I'm going to go ahead and declutter it. I'm also going to get rid of the M Cosmetics blush in the shade Lychee. I just don't enjoy her stick products. I got rid of the stick bronzer. I'm going to get rid of the stick blush. I just don't think it's that great. It's pigmented, but I don't feel like it lasts on me very well. It got a little patchy. As well as these two right here from Kaja. These are so cute, but I swatched it. So these are their Cheeky Stamp in the shade Bossy. And then also in the shade Saucy and Bossy. These are really pretty, but I swatched them and I swear they had so much glitter, which is so weird. When you're looking at them, you can't see glitter. Like I never would have guessed they had glitter in it, but I wanted to swatch it to see if this would even work for my skin tone, especially this one's so dark. And I swear there was so much glitter on my hand. I was like, I'm not wearing glitter in my cheap products. So I'm going to go ahead and pass both of these along while they are fresh enough and can still get used. This Clove and Hollow one was sent to me the same time that bronzer was earlier that I talked about. And especially since this is a liquid product, I am going to go ahead and declutter it and throw it away. You can tell it's just past its prime. All right, then we have a couple from Half Caked Beauty. They're candy paints. We have Disco Lemonade, which is just a really bright sort of pinky. We have Yacht Week, which is more of a neutrally everyday tone. And then Angel, which is like a light pinky everyday tone. I'm going to go ahead and keep Angel for sure. I think this is so stunning. Yacht Week, I think I'm going to keep this. Oh, this one's pretty too though. Disco Lemonade. I'm going to keep all of these. Yeah, I'm going to keep all of them. Then we have this one right here from Pat McGrath. This is her Celestial Odyssey Divine Blush Glow Trio. That was really, really hard for me to read. So we have Divine Rose, Desert Orchid, and then a highlighter in Golden Nectar. The highlighter doesn't really work for me. It's a little bit too deep, but these two blushes are stunning. I probably should have talked about them with the other Pat McGrath blushes that I talked about earlier, but I love this formulation, so I'm definitely going to be keeping this little trio. This one from Olimar, man, I've had this forever. This is their Colorette Blush Trio in medium to tan, which you wouldn't think would work on my skin tone, but it actually does. I kept this in my last declutter and I have not reached for it since. I used to love these blushes and I used to use them all of the time, but I just don't really reach for them anymore, sadly. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter this. Okay, we just have these last little guys to get through. I'm going to try to get through them quickly. Rare Beauty in the shade Bliss. I'm going to keep this. It's new to me. It's pretty. It's nice. Not my favorite blush ever, but I like it enough to keep it. I'm also going to keep the NYX Sweet Cheeks in the shade Almost Famous. It's a really bright orangey sort of shade. I don't reach for these kind of blushes very often, but I think I want to keep it, you know, to have the option. You know what I mean? Okay, then we have this one right here from Natasha Denona. This is her liquid cheek blush. Oh, I forget the name of this, and it's not on here. That was like one of the things that was weird about when she launched these. This does not show up on me. It doesn't last long, and nothing really about it I like. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter that. I'm also going to keep the Jacqueline Cosmetics blush in the shade Impress. This is just a really pretty bright pink shade. I've only used this like once or twice, but I remember liking it. So I'm not ready to part with it quite yet. I'm going to go ahead and what do I want to do with these? Melon and Cinnamon, the Flower Blush Bombs. I feel like I like these. I think I want to keep them. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep both of those. Then we have these two from Clover by Clove & Hollow. I guess this is their new brand. They're not Clove & Hollow anymore. It's Clover by Clove & Hollow. So we have Juiced and Heartthrob. I've used these a couple times as well, and I remember liking them as well. So, yeah, I'm going to keep these two, you guys. I'm going to keep these two. I sure am. I think I'm going to go ahead and part with the Honest one, the Honest Beauty Blush in Coral Peach. Sorry. It's just a little bit on the older side, and it looks like a drier formula, which is not my preferred method. And then that last but not least, we have the e.l.f. Putty Blush in the shade, I think this is Bora Bora? Yes, Bora Bora. I'm going to keep this for now. I've only used this a couple times, but I want to go ahead and keep it just to see how I think of it again, and then I'll maybe, you know, declutter in the future. Okay, I'm keeping 43 blushes. I just counted this as one, and I'm decluttering 30. So I feel actually really, really good about that. I did better than I thought I was going to. Looking at this collection, there are some that I maybe could have still gotten rid of, but we're going to keep them for now and move on with our lives. And I'll decide in the future if I want to declutter anymore, and I'll obviously let you know. So let's move on now to highlighters. Okay, these next clips are being filmed like a week and a half later, so I've got new nails now. This is just a nail polish from What's Up Beauty. This is their gem encrusted nail polish in the shade Earthlike. It's so pretty. I don't know if you guys can see like how sparkly it is. I'm loving it. Plus I've had it on for almost 2 days at this point, and it has not chipped, which is shocking. Absolutely shocking. So let's move on to highlighters now. The first one being this one right here from Charlotte Tilbury. They're a Beauty Light Wand in the shade Spotlight. As you can tell, I really like this, and I feel like I should really focus on using this up here in the future because it's almost gone, and that would feel really good to use that up. I do really enjoy this. I am going to keep it. Then we have the Anastasia Beverly Hills Amrezy highlight. Is this too old and expired? Yes, probably 100%. Is that going to deter me from keeping it? No. Beautiful gold highlight, definitely keeping. We have this one right here from ColourPop. This is their Super Shock Cheek in the shade Flip Flops. This was sent to me in PR with a collection a while ago at this point. I swatched it, and that's kind of it. I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter this though. It's a really pretty color, like a nice gold tone, but I just don't think I'm going to get a lot of use out of it. I would have to pry this out of my hands. The Dior Backstage 001 Universal Glow Face Palette. When I first bought this, I did not think it was anything special. I bought it at the last Sephora sale. I've been using it nonstop. I have not reached for another highlight when doing my makeup since purchasing this. As you can tell from the embossings in the pans that are pretty much gone already a couple months later, I love this. Definitely keeping. And we have this box here. The first one being the Catrice More Than Glow highlighter in the shade Supreme Rose Beam. Man, see, I love this highlighter, but I'm also really not into a super intense highlighter anymore. So I feel like I have to be more cutthroat and really think about if I would use this or not. And I have not reached for this in a really long time, but I think I'm going to keep it. It's just so pretty. I think I'm going to go ahead and let go of this Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighter in the shade Blossom Glow. I love this highlighter. As you can see, there's massive pan in it. It is stunning. Like if you need a blinding highlight from the drugstore that's very affordable, this is one that is a good option for that. However, it is just very old, like 5 or 6 years at this point, and I would rather just throw it away, be safe. and get rid of it. So sadly, I'm saying bye. Then we have this one right here from Juvia's Place, the Tribe Highlighter Volume 3. This is another super blinding highlighter. I think I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this. It's just not one I'm reaching for much anymore. Not really the style of highlight I'm going for. One I'm definitely keeping is this one right here from MAC. This is their Mineralized Skin Finish in Soft and Gentle. When I do reach for another highlight, that's not the Dior one, it's gonna be this one. It has such the most beautiful ethereal glow to it. It's stunning and beautiful. It's not too intense at all, and if you can tell from the huge dent I have in it, I love this. Ooh, ColourPop Flexitarian. I used to solely use this as my inner corner highlight. That's kind of been replaced by the Rare Beauty one right there. I just don't feel ready to let go of it. I am going to keep it. Another one I'm going to keep is this one right here from Milani, their Dolce Perla Baked Highlighter. This is one that is a little more on the blinding side, but it's not too intense. It's definitely one that I feel comfortable still wearing. In the pan, it looks a little bit pinky tone, champagne pinky, but it actually turns more gold on my cheeks, but I like it. I think it's pretty. I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this Bare Minerals Bare Pro Glow highlighter. In the shade Whimsy. This is just not one I ever reach for. I'm pretty sure I got this sent to me by a friend, which was very sweet of her, but I just don't reach for it, so I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this. I'm also gonna declutter this one right here by AOA Studio. This is their Velour highlighter. It's just very intense, like not something that I would wear on my cheeks personally. I am going to keep the Rare Beauty highlight. This is in the shade Enlighten. Man, if you want a super crazy intense, like blinding highlight, I'm sure you have heard this before, but the Rare Beauty ones are definitely going to give you that effect on the cheek. I really don't wear this on my cheek. I really only use this as an inner corner highlight. That's how blinding it is, but it's beautiful, so I'm gonna keep it. Then we have these ones right here from ColourPop. This was sent to me in PR in a collection. We have the Love Struck powder highlight. I actually think I'm going to keep this one, especially since I got rid of the Wet n Wild Blossom Glow one. This is really the only pink leaning highlight other than the one in the Dior palette that I have in my collection. And the one in the Dior palette I can't really use on its own, and this one I can. So I'm gonna keep this. I am gonna go ahead and declutter this one right here called Making Memories. It's a really pretty highlight, but it's just a plain champagne sort of highlight shade, and I have a bunch of those that I've kept already and I'm going to be keeping coming up, so I'm gonna get rid of this one. Shoot, I just paused to get a drink of water and I saw this sitting in my drawer. I forgot to grab it. So this is the Jaclyn Cosmetics the Flash highlighter. This was super limited edition. I don't know how many people were actually able to pick it up. These are beautiful highlights. I don't really support Jaclyn. I know she shut down Jaclyn Cosmetics, so this probably wouldn't be a highlight that I would ever really use on camera because you can't link it, and like I said, I don't really want to support her. But it was limited edition. You can't get it anymore in general because the brand shut down, and they really are beautiful highlights. So I am going to keep this. Back to the ColourPop ones. This is in the shade You're Glowing. I thought I was going to keep this because it's a really pretty gold shade, and what I like about the pink one and this gold one is it's a very subtle highlight, which is what I'm more into. I really don't think that I'm going to use this. I think if I'm going to use a more subtle-ish gold highlight, I'm just going to reach for the Dior palette, so I'm going to go ahead and declutter this. I'm also going to declutter this AOA Studio Wonder Baked highlighter. This is in the shade Cloud. This is another one that is very, very intense, like almost Tin Man, like it looks like you put a strap of foil on your face. That's how intense it is. If that is your vibe, I think you would love this highlight, or like for a Halloween costume or just something like that where it's just very, very intense highlight. I think this is beautiful, but just not the vibe I'm going for and not the makeup I wear. So I'm going to declutter this. Move all these down a little bit closer. Then we have this one from Ofra Cosmetics. This is their Steph Tom's collab, the cookie highlighter, Milk and Cookies highlighter. This is a really pretty highlighter. I think I'm going to go ahead and keep this. I'm also going to keep my Nabla highlight in the shade Ozone. This is one of my favorite highlighters ever. As you can tell from the embossings, like completely gone. I need to reach for this more. That Dior one has just had a hold on me these last couple months, and now I'm like doing this declutter and I'm kind of rediscovering ones that I need to use again because this is stunning. I love this. Gonna keep. Then we have a good old Becca Champagne Pop, another one that I'm gonna keep. Just a really pretty gold highlight. A little dark on me, to be honest, but I like it. Then we have these two from Pat McGrath. This is her Skin Fetish Divine Glow highlighter in the shade Lunar Allure. Allure? Yeah. This is a really blinding highlight. And part of me doesn't want to keep it because I don't know how much use I'll get out of it, but the other part of me does want to keep it because it's Pat McGrath and it was expensive. So I think I'm going to keep it for now. And then this one right here, I think this was limited edition, her Skin Fetish Sublime Skin Highlighter in Lunar Nude. This was part of a collection a while ago. I'm pretty sure, is this too dark on me? I kind of think I don't reach for this because I think it's too dark on me. And I'm trying to remember if like when I finally do use it, if it's okay or if it really is too dark. So for that reason, I am going to keep it. I think it'll be a really pretty tone on me in the summer when I have a little bit of a tan going on. Some of you might be screaming through your phones, your TVs, your computers, whatever you use to watch me. But I'm going to go ahead and declutter both of these ColourPop Twilight Super Shock highlighters. They're very pretty, but they are just not what I'm going for these days. We have the shade Vampire Skin as well as Meadow. Meadow is a really like almost duochrome pinky one, and the Vampire Skin is another super intense sort of highlight. And if I'm going to use that, I feel like I would just reach for Flexitarian. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter both of these. I'm also going to declutter this one right here from Grande Glow. This is their plumping liquid highlighter in the shade French Pearl. This is really pretty, but kind of like the blush I decluttered a while ago. This is very old, and I'm pretty sure it's expired. So it was really pretty when I used it, and I also don't think they make them anymore. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this one. This one right here is from Jouer. This is their all over face and body highlighter in the shade Molten Glow. This is a very, very, very beautiful gold highlight. However, it's just not really that good of a tone for my fair skin. And I'm already keeping Champagne Pop, which is questionable on my skin, and then that Pat McGrath one. So I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this. And last but not least, we have the Natasha Denona Super Glow highlight in the shade just 01 Fair. Man, I used to love this highlight like a lot. Like, so I don't really know what to do. I think I'm gonna keep it just for nostalgia reasons. And I want to. I'm just not ready to let go of it yet, so I'm gonna keep it. Alrighty, I am keeping 16 highlights and decluttering 12. I feel good about that. So let's move on to last but not least, face palettes. Okay, as you can see, I don't have as many of these, so hopefully it will go by a little bit quicker. I think this has been a really long video. If you are still here, thank you so much. I appreciate you. All right, the Lorelei Blush Aesthetic Palette. Should this have been in the blush portion of the video? Probably. Sorry about that. But this is a absolutely stunning blush palette. I really don't reach for all blush palettes really ever anymore, but I reach for this one still. I love these tones. They go together on the cheeks so nicely. Last all day, definitely keeping. We have this one right here from Cover FX. This is honestly pretty old. What is this even called? The Perfector Face Palette. I got this in Ipsy or BoxyCharm a very, very long time ago. This shade ended up falling out a while ago. Honestly, when I was using this palette, I loved it. I loved the contour. The blush is beautiful. This highlight was really the one I used. These two are a little bit too dark for me. But my time with this was very positive, and I really did love it. However, I am going to go ahead and declutter it and probably throw it away. It's just very old and definitely expired. Then we have this one right here from True Luscious. This is their Lucky Glow Bronze and Highlight Palette. I really don't reach for this one too often. You know what? I think I am going to go ahead and declutter this only because I think this would be a really beautiful palette for someone who's starting out, who doesn't have a lot of makeup, to get these two, you know, contour, bronzer shades, a blush, two different highlights. I don't really know what this is. This would be a pretty eyeshadow, I guess. But if you are in the market for a good face palette and this appeals to you, I recommend it. It's beautiful, very pigmented. So be careful whenever you're applying it. But they blend out nicely on the cheeks. They last all day. This is a great face palette. I just want someone to use it more than I am. Same kind of thing with this one right here from ColourPop. This is their Just a Flush Cheek palette. This was sent to me in PR. This is a really great palette. The bronzer is beautiful. The two blushes are nice. This highlight I don't love. I think it's a Super Shock highlight. It's very glittery, so not my jam, but it could be yours. So I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this, kind of the same reason. I want someone to get more use out of it than I am. I'm just not a face palette kind of girl. I don't reach for them very often. Same thing with this Pixie by Petra. This was sent to me in PR, their Nuance Quartet and Honey Nectar. This is beautiful, like really beautiful on the skin, especially this highlight. I remember being stunning, like truly stunning. But say it with me, I'm not using it. I want it to go to a home that it's going to get more use out of it. One I am going to keep is this one from Hourglass. This is their Ambient Lighting Edit Mini, the Sculpture Unlocked. That's a lot. All of their palettes have very long names. This was bougie. This was expensive. This was a limited edition, so you can't get it anymore. Although I'm sure you can get all of these shades in other palettes or on their own. This is really beautiful, and this actually is a face palette that I do still reach for. And Hourglass powders are just chef's kiss on the cheeks, so I'm gonna keep this. Another one I'm gonna keep is this one right here from Kaja. I believe this was sent to me in PR too. This is their Play Bento and Sugar Cookie. So it has a powder blush, which is very beautiful, and then also a powder highlight, which is stunning. A little on the glittery blinding side, but I still like it. And then actually a cream bronzer, if I can open it. This is a really beautiful tone on my fair skin. So the couple times I've reached for this, I have enjoyed it, so I'm gonna keep it. Oh, another one that was limited edition that you can't get anymore. You guys, the Cheek Leader palette from Benefit. This was all the rage a couple years ago. Like, it sold out, they brought it back, it sold out again, everyone was dying over it. Like, it is a beautiful palette. You have the Hoola Bronzer Cookie Highlight. This is where the Cookie Highlight originated. And then their Gold Rush Blush. Again, a palette I actually still reach for, especially since I don't have the Hoola Bronzer in any other form. It's getting up there. It's getting up there in age. It is old, but I can't let go of it. I'm keeping it. And last but not least, we have the Smashbox. This is the Cali Contour Just Face palette, I guess. I'm shocked they still make this. But then again, I'm not, because it's a great palette and it is a pretty good bang for your buck. You get two of the bronzers, a more cool tone contour and a bronzy one. This blush is really pretty. These highlights are nice, a little on the subtle side, which I don't mind. And then you even get a setting powder. Man, what am I gonna do with this? I think I'm gonna keep this. I do. I haven't reached for it in a long time and it's old. It's probably expired. But when I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is beautiful. So I actually am gonna keep this. All right, so I'm keeping 5 face palettes, even though one was the blush. So a blush palette, 4 face palettes, and then I am gonna go ahead and declutter 4 of them. So, oh man, thank you so much for sticking with me through this declutter. It was a long one, I know, but I appreciate you guys hanging out with me while I clean out my makeup. I would have to do this anyways, even if you weren't watching. So the fact that I'm able to like make into content for you guys is just amazing. So thank you so much for watching all the way until the end. Let me know down below if you are sad or bummed about any of these that I decluttered. Like, were you screaming at the screen like, no, don't get rid of that? Because sometimes I do that when other people declutter things. I'm like, how could you get rid of that? You know what I mean? If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. You're awesome and I love you. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you have not yet. And I hope to see you in my next video. Bye, guys.